What's going on, everyone? Blade55555 here, and today I'm presenting to you a video guide on Abbasid aggression. Recently I was tasked with an interesting question on when am I aggressive, what is my decision making when going aggressive, and when do I decide to not be aggressive with like one town center. What this game is going to go over is it's going to show one town center aggression against HRE, against Abbasid, who is, I think he's top 30 on the ladder as of the making of this video. Not entirely sure, but I know he's high ranking. That's besides the point, though. I just want to let you know this was a high level game showcasing Abbasid aggression against HRE. My thought process to this goes as follows. When most players play the Abbasid Dynasty, they go two town centers or three town centers, especially on a map like this. Versus most of the civilizations in this game, I agree with going two town centers. But there are a couple civs in this game that I do not think going quick two town centers is a good play, or it's very, very difficult to pull off. One of those is Abbasid versus Holy Roman Empire. And the reason being is if you go two town centers as Abbasid against HRE, they will have easy access to a fast castle. And when they go fast castle, they get the relics. And by the time you can be aggressive after making your two town centers, they're going to have at least 2 to 3 relics. Not only that, but your aggression is going to be a lot slower, and HRE can get to Imperial Age by I think it's 11 or 12 minutes with the Swabia, which allows you to create villagers at 75% cheaper, and they make in like 5 seconds, I believe it is. So they not only catch up to your 2 town center boom, or even 3 town center boom, they surpass you really quickly because of this. So that's why, in my opinion, against HRE, you should not be going quick 2 town centers. A good HRE player, when they see you go 2 town centers, should be celebrating because, again, that gives them easy access to fast castle without having to worry about dying to aggression. I believe the timing of a fast castle by HRE is like 7 minutes or 7:45. You'll actually see this game as my opponent does try to do fast castle. Although he doesn't do the fastest castle possible because he did see I was going to be aggressive. And the way this plays out, and we start with, is it's pretty normal opening, at least for what I do. I always make a second scout. The first thing I do is make a second scout because I want to get these sheep. Sheep can be so random spawns, and I can't tell you how many times where I've done two where I'm so grateful I do 2 scouts because I get a lot more sheep than if I did 1 scout. Sometimes with 1 scout you get unlucky and you don't find any, while your second one does. And it's pretty crucial to get his, sheep in the early game. Like, yes, berries are awesome, but you don't want to use them as Abbasid immediately just because you want to spend your wood elsewhere, like on your lumberjack. Um, so what we're going to do this game is you're going to notice we had a lot on food. We had 9 villagers on food. We put 2 on gold early. I probably should have went over that earlier. But if you do 2 on gold after your 6th or 7th villager on food, you can actually age up by about 245, 250, which gets you aged up to the feudal age by about 245, or not 245, 445. And in this game, we are not going to be putting any villagers on stone because we're not doing a 2 town center build here. We're scouting our opponent. We see he's going with the Akin Chapel. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, and I apologize for that. This just lets him inspire units as long as a prelate is in here, and they'll gather resources. I believe they either drop off more or gather faster. And so the other civilization where I don't like going 2 town centers opening is actually versus English. I think versus English going quick 2 town centers is a death sentence because English, if they do a super fast rush, they will be aged up by this time 4 minutes. And you'll notice as Abbasid, we still have 47 seconds until we advance. And he can have longbows in your base probably by 4:30, which is again before you're even aged up. If you go 2 town centers, even if you get them both up, your opponent just has free reign to deny your gold, deny your hunt, and then even if you put a tower here, he can still poke and prod at this from both sides. And then eventually you don't have the resources to make the units to deal with the longbows and you just die. Now on this map, you might be able to get away with it if you wall. This is probably one of the few maps where you might be able to go two town centers versus English, just because you can wall the sides and mainly this front area, especially with this spawn that I have. It's very easy wall. But I'm mainly discussing open maps, or in most maps in the game except for maps like this where you can easily wall. Obviously, in that situation, you can quick 2 TC. If you see your opponent is going second TC, then you can also go quick 2 town centers. Like if I had saw HRE gathering stone when he was aging up, I would have actually gone 2 town centers this game because you know we can't fast castle that quickly after doing so. Now in this game, we see he is trying to wall here. And he actually does something very that I thought was pretty clever of him. Most players I haven't seen try this. What he does, it's not like it's like insanely like way too smart or anything, but I thought it was a pretty good idea on his part. Is we're placing our 2 ranges here immediately after we age up and a blacksmith because we want to get our ranged upgrade. And while we're blocking this because we're trying to get our archers here ASAP, he decides he's going to wall the lower section with 2 villagers, and my second scout is not close enough to deny it. So I really only have one option: deny this one or this one. And obviously he's going to finish this wall, and then we just deny this one. Now, obviously, depending on what you scout here, we do see this horseman, so we actually kind of pull our archers back. Don't want to engage horsemen versus archers early, especially when you only have a few. And you'll notice we're going to get a barracks here shortly. Now, you could do 1 range, 1 barracks start off if you want. It kind of depends what you scout. In this game, I did a poor job scouting with one of my scouts to see what unit composition he was going to go for. If I had scouted that he was going to go, if I had scouted that stable, I would have added a barracks quicker instead of 2 ranges, and then added the second range later. And again, don't forget to get that food upgrade right here. This allows your villagers to be 25 food. It's still very, very worth getting, even on 1 town center, because that extra food goes towards units. And again, you don't have to put many villagers on food, right? We have 8 villagers on food. We're going to easily support 2 ranges and a barracks, and then we'll obviously make adjustments as it goes on. The goal of this aggression is, yes, you'd love to kill your opponent, but the main goal is to just do damage, and then you can decide what to do from there. If you are killing a lot of villagers, but you can't quite kill them, then you can go castle yourself. You can add a second town center. But if you think you can kill them, just kill them, is what I would recommend. And then, and that's kind of how this game goes. My goal is to kill him, or at least do significant damage so that he cannot get the castle and grab the relics. One thing you can also try here is, since we have map control, or we're about to have map control because we have spears and archers, is you can actually start walling off the relics. It's not a bad play to do. You do gather quite a bit of wood with this build, or with Abbasid in general, because you focus on putting your villagers on wood since you don't need as much on food when doing these aggressive strategies. And that's not a bad play, because then if your opponent does get castle, you do deny their relics. And if you have map control, they can't just go destroy the walls around the relics. So it's not a bad option to do that either. And now we're going to start moving out. And we keep a spear behind because we know he might try to raid with light cav. I like to get the +1 ranged first. I don't remember what it's called. Just because it allows you to do that extra pierce damage and negates their armor if they have the armor, which he does, by the way. And then from here, we're just going to be hyper aggressive now that we have the units that counter the horsemen, because as we all know, horsemen are not that great of a unit. They are kind of weak to, I mean, honestly, they're just a pretty weak unit, especially to spears. Spears, I think 2 or 3, I think they 3-shot them, not 2-shot. So you don't even need that many spears to hold off. And then if you have a group of archers, the horsemen just don't survive very long. We're going to see that we have 9 archers to 2 horsemen and 1 spear. This is going to be more than enough to kind of clean this up. As we can see, our 9 archers, 3-shot, or maybe it's 4-shot. The horsemen, the 1 spear is all we needed. Got rid of that threat, and we're pumping out units. Judging by the walling in the tower, we know that he's most likely trying to get the castle here. That's kind of what this HRE wants to do. They want to get the castle, grab the relics so they can put in the regnants to get that 300 gold per minute per relic. That's what makes HRE very, very powerful, is that castle age, grabbing the relics, and then going imperial when they can. It's just super powerful. And as you can see, we added a second barracks Keep pumping out from 2 archery ranges. He tries to be aggressive raid here, but we kind of kill it with the town center. We make a ram, and we begin our aggression. From here, I believe I get wheelbarrow here in a moment. You do want to get wheelbarrow. It's a very, very good upgrade and something that I've been prioritizing more and more as the games have been going on. You can actually get it before +1 ranged if you want, but I wouldn't get it much later than +1 ranged if you decide to go ranged first like I did. Since I'm being aggressive, I think going +1 range is the way to go. If I was playing a 2TC build, I would go wheelbarrow first. And then as we can see, his tower's not doing nothing. It's not like he has any upgrades here. We use a ram, take out the gate. We're actually going to, for the most part, bypass this tower because we know that he's most likely going castle. Again, we haven't seen any units. He hasn't been trying to defend himself here. Most likely, he's either hiding his army, which is a possibility, or he's going castle. My bet was on castle, so I make a second battering ram, and we just keep pumping out units. Now, with the rams, what you want to do is focus on production. Do not focus on this. This is just a waste. Don't focus on the main TC. He'll most likely take out the relic. The rams are going to be to take out their production and their houses. As we can see, he is castle age. And now there is one counter to my army, right? The biggest counter to my army is going to be men-at-arms. I know with how fast his castle timing was that he's not going to have units. So my goal is to kill these barracks, deny his gold income, and deny wood income if I can, so that he cannot spam men-at-arms. If he gets if he gets 6 men-at-arms, he just holds this push. Especially if he has the ranged arm upgrade, because men-at-arms demolish archers. It's not even close. I should specify castle age men-at-arms. He did raid here, and we took that out. And then as you can see, we're just pumping out units. We're still keeping this here just in case, and then we're just putting more in wood because we want the rams to deny resources. And as you can see, we're killing his barracks. We've taken him off gold, and we just have units coming in. And what I'm going to end up doing here with these units is going this way to take him off his wood line. Because even though he's castle age, if you don't have production, you can't hold a feudal army. And that's the scariest part for me right now, is making sure to deny that men-at-arm aggression here. What I could do here is, I'm just kill him is what I'm going to do. But behind this, what's not a bad idea necessarily is to take a few of these villagers, put them on stone, keep pumping out units, but then get a second town center, or we can focus on going castle age. When I think about it more, I think going castle age would be the option, and as we can see, he's depositing the relics into the Ragnits, which means he's going to get a market soon so that he can buy the units that he needs because he's suffering. The nice thing is knights aren't very good in this situation, and for some reason my spearmen were bugging out. I'm not sure if there was a blockage or something, but that's why he got that convert off. I tried right-clicking him away, wouldn't work. But knights are not the play here against my army because feudal age spearmen demolish knights, especially Abbasid ones if you get this upgrade, which we don't do this game, but this upgrade really helps against knights. And I mean, as you can see, we have 400 wood, we have 3 rams, we have the army advantage, we're destroying his production, we're just, again, too many units for him to really hold off. And you'll notice we're ignoring this because this is just a waste. If you attack this landmark, you're just going to give him the time he needs to get his men-at-arms out. And then attacking the main TC is the same thing. He's just going to dump his villagers out, destroy the rams, and then your aggression is going to be slowed down a lot. Now at this stage in the game, you'll notice we got wheelbarrow, we got this, we have a lot of wood villagers, 26 on wood, 7 on food. We can start balancing our economy a little more and putting more on food. You can tell we're moving 8 villagers to the hunts. We don't really need this much on wood now because, I mean, the game's over at this point. He's dead. He doesn't have any production. Even though he has this, and I believe he has a market somewhere, he makes a market, he doesn't have the time or the production buildings to defend himself, which is why he loses. Castle age is great and all, but it's not very helpful when you can't make anything. And that's kind of my process here, is to try to deny him a good castle age and to deny relics if possible. One thing, and I will just specify this again, that I should have done I should have taken a villager and walled off the relics while we had aggression in the feudal. We had the wood for it, we had the resources for it, there's no reason not to do so. And we're ramming down this market so that we can try to deny it from future use, and then we're going to take down the Regnits to deny him that this is bugged. It's actually 600 gold a minute. And then, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of this game. This is just kind of the aggression I wanted to show off. It's just double archery range, double barracks, and then obviously with this, with the pierce damage. I should have gotten the armor upgrade as well, to be honest, but I never did. And then again, the goal is to never go for the main TC. It's always to go for their resources and their production buildings. Main TC's just a waste of time. As we can see, if I imagine if I went for this and this main town center, he would have gotten the men-at-arms out and just demolished my army, and then I lose the game from there because I'm pretty far off castle age. Now, the reason for this video in general was to show off aggression, right? So this is an aggressive build that we can do against HRE. I would always recommend being aggressive to some degree. You do not have to be this aggressive to where you're not going castle anytime soon. What you can do is just use aggression to force units out of the Holy Roman Empire player, or to do damage if you can while going castle yourself. Or you can go second TC behind it if you think you can do that. Oh, that's funny. I never noticed that before. We're just going to restart this, not because we're going to watch it, just because I want to go over just a little bit of things about the aggressiveness. And so that's the kind of aggression play, though, that I like to do against Holy Roman Empire in specific. Against civilizations like China, you do not need to do a feudal aggression strategy if you don't want to, although it is a still strong strategy in my opinion. Against China, you could do 2 TCs, but then you want to be aggressive in castle age. You don't want to just be too passive. If you're too passive, you give your opponent a lot of time, especially China, to get their siege out or go imperial. And China, for example, as a siege civ is very scary to play against. Same with Rus. If they get imperial age, they're very hard to beat when they get to that stage if they get imperial age. Not just because of horse archers, just because their springolds have, I think, the farthest range out of any siege in the game. And then, obviously, horse archers right now are really strong until a balance patch comes through. They have Streltsy. It's just, they have a lot of things going for them. So that's kind of how I base my aggression, is based on the matchups. Versus Rus, castle age aggression, because I don't think feudal age aggression is going to work very well. It might work if they stay feudal age, but if they go fast castle, they will be able to halt your aggression relatively easily if you're Abbasid. Against HRE, I do believe you want to be aggressive with 1 TC, at least at first. You can transition into a second TC or go castle, but your goal is to try to deny their fast castle so that you have time to deny relics or to stop them from getting that fast imperial timing. Because if you let them get fast castle without punishing them, you are going to be behind, especially, and they're going to get imperial age and just out eco you. Versus English, that's another matchup where you don't, again, I said it earlier in the video, but you don't want to go 2 TCs. You want to delay your second TC a bit while you hold off their aggression. If you scout that they're gathering stone, go 2 TC immediately. But if you don't see they're gathering stone, you know they're going to be aggressive. And when they're being aggressive, you want to hold that off with what I've been messing around with was starting out 2 stables, then adding 2 archery ranges, and then my second TC. But if you crush that early push, then you can get that second TC out faster and maybe not need to go 2 ranges. It's very situational, just depends on how the game is going. Otherwise, versus all the other civilizations in the game, like Delhi, Mongols, you don't really want to go 2 TCs just because they'll go fast castle and then kill you with a siege timing. So against Mongols, actually, I'd probably recommend 1 TC as well. But honestly, as of right now, before the patch, Abbasid versus Mongols is a very tough matchup just because of the tower rush and then how fast Mongols can age up. So that one will change soon. We know Mongol nerfs are coming, so I'm not going to go too much more over that. But yeah, versus all the other civilizations in the game, 2 TC is going to be the recommended opening. Although, again, you can do 1 TC aggression, and that will pay off. So that's kind of my thought process between being aggressive and not. Again, it just depends on what my opponent's doing, the civilizations, and just, yeah, that's kind of it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any requests, please feel free to leave a comment. And if you like the video, give it a like, and then I will be back hopefully next week with another video. So thanks for watching, and hope you all have a great rest of your day. See ya.